in this space and in this work, we don't want to do differential treatment. For cases, for families, for the field, for our time, we want to be fair, we want to be impartial, we want to use our best judgment possible. Okay, so that's it. Your bias is there, your prejudice is there, even your stereotyping is going to be there. But when you act on that and you behave or treat or preferential, make decisions, you lean and favors that are detrimental and they don't have to exist, then we were complicit in that process. Okay. I'm gonna read these things and then I'm just gonna open it up for questions. Okay. So when we're serving and working as advocates, some of these things as it relates to diversity, these are some barriers that may exist when you're trying to connect with your case and people involved. Sometimes the role of the family, like for some people, sharing intimate information about a crime may be frowned upon in certain cultures. Cultures may emphasize loyalty. So them talking to you or telling on someone has negative implications. So you may have to find a different way to examine that type of information. There's variations in the way people ask for help. I'm not sure, like say in domestic violence cases, some of those women have been conditioned to withhold, to cover up, so you may find that you're not getting anywhere with those things. So just being sensitive, doing your research to know when you get your case and your briefing, if you look at, because do they get the demographic information of their case? Yes. So, use your phone. You don't have to Google it on your computer, and if they take it, they think you're learning how to do all types of hate crime stuff. But if you've never worked or had dinner or been in an Asian family's home or two male, do your research. So that way when you go in, you're not jolted and it's not on your face and then you're uncomfortable and then your bias starts kicking in. Prepare yourself. Do a quick read, figure out what are some of the stereotypes, and then once you know that, when you go in and you start thinking that way, you go, whoa, I'm teetering up that ladder. Okay? So I'll share these out, but some quick things when you are aware of your bias and you're interacting with others, just be curious. Some sentence strings that I use is like, so tell me about that experience. What would make you feel comfortable with my help? What can we do to build our trust while we're working together? And they may say something to you, and I feel like sometimes when people are disclosing their vulnerable things, you feel like you have to say something or offer a way for you to do something. So you don't have to do that. You can lean into your humanity and say, I've never experienced that. But I can tell that you're hurt and that you're scared, and I want to help you. It's not that you're omitting what they said to you, but be honest, because that will build trust in the relationship. And you don't have to have a magic wand or a fix. You can just say, I've never had that experience, but I'm here to help you and to make sure that nobody else has it either. So is there anything you want to share with me today? Hey, I know I don't know you and you don't know me, but I hope that we can get to know each other so that you feel comfortable while we work together. Those things make people say, it's easy for you because you're not overcommitting and promising something that you can't deliver on. Okay? Listen. Best advice ever. Be self-aware of your triggers. If something is just too much, can't they call and say, this one is a little tough and I need support? Utilize that. Don't put yourself in a situation where your bias and your awareness is all over the place, because that's where we make those missteps and potentially could cause more trauma. And then just build your empathetic skills. I wasn't trying to give y'all any tearjerkers, but I'm just letting you know that I do this work all the time, and I struggle through this stuff every day. And it's even more difficult when it's the things you love, like your family or your belief system, or the things that it's all you know. It makes it difficult to navigate that. So just know how you feel in those moments, and put yourself in that place when you're dealing with others, and it'll give you more compassion. Okay. Questions for me?
your last one, build your empathy skills, how could you do that? What would you suggest would be some things that one can do to build those?
I would say there's tons of things, but it really starts with owning your ignorance. What do I know for sure, and what have I just believed blindly, and where am I ignorant? What don't I know? Or where did I get this belief from? Has this been proven and tested? You know, we read reviews for every dang on thing on Amazon, but, you know, Papa says this, we're like, it's my Papa, you know.
Yeah.
Papa tell you go fry cockroaches, but, you know, there's something in you saying, I don't ever want to do that, you know. But some of us out of loyalty, and like me, you make your bed, and, you know, you get up, you get dressed. So I overdress for everything. It's my dad's fault, you know. We're out there mopping the garage, and we got on like bun, and we're fully dressed, and people are like, why are those kids outside? My dad was crazy, but but just, you know, understanding people's stories. So allow them the space to talk. Another thing is people feel when you don't feel them. So if you're talking to someone and they're giving you their deepest, darkest secret and makes you uncomfortable and your head's down. I used to be a Title IX investigator, and we're talking about sexual assault at Sam Houston State. And I was training one of my colleagues when she first came on. She was from CPS, but students would come in and say how a professor or somebody fondled them. And she was so focused on writing the details that all the student would see was the top of her head. Her reports were great, and she did a great job with the findings, but the student would not disclose the information. So first interview she would do it, she would get, we were at shenanigans, and this happened, drank too much, and he started to fondle me, and she'd tell the story. When it came to the intimate things, my colleague was writing, and then so she'd look up and go, and what else happened? It was just uncomfortable. Total shutdown. I'd circle back and say, hey, how are things going? Okay, so you were dancing. Did he initiate the dance, or you, or was there a point? And she's like, yes, ma'am. Still very closed at first. And I go, okay, I can sense that, you know, this is uncomfortable for you. Do you want to take a minute? Do you want to get water, or do you want to write it? What else happened? You write it to me, and then I read it, so you don't have to repeat it. Yes, ma'am, I feel more comfortable doing that. Okay, I'm going to leave the room for about 10 minutes, and you write down what you want me to know, and I'll capture it, and you let me know if I took away what you wanted to share with me. Simple things. So being an investigator and having somebody tell you things that they won't even tell their parents, and I can't tell their parents, but knowing someone had this happen, and then they walk away and say, I don't want to press charge or do anything, I just want to be done with the class, breaks my heart. But as advocates and as people, they have to be empowered, just like some of your domestic violence and things like that. We can't force or make people do what we want them to do. So building empathy. And that's an example of, I saw that she was shutting down, she was closed off. So just, it's emotional intelligence. Eye contact, body posture, fidgeting, broken conversations, not being engaged, looking around to see if a family member is watching. Those things are big cues to building empathetic skills. So just be present. That's the first step. Own your ignorance and be present.
Thank you.
Other questions? Scary stuff, right? You thought I was going to start reading y'all the Constitution, and I was going to say, put up my fist and all that. That's media. This is real life. This is real life. This is real community. We share the earth. We share the air. We know that if nothing taught us that, losing 200,000 people from an illness, right? So I'm here. My information is, I'll give you my email. It is N as in Nancy, EPPS, like my last name, like E, P as in Paul, P as in Paul, S as in Sam, at shsu.edu. I go by Noob, N-U, and I am in the Dean Suite in CJ.
You said EDU?
Yes, .edu. And I do these trainings. This is my community impact, and anything that helps agencies to just be more comfortable in these spaces. It's just a service of the state. And as long as it doesn't conflict with my 8 to 5 responsibilities for the university, I'm available. But emails, to help support you, to give you resources. Oh, another place, I constantly update resources for the college, but if you go to shsu.edu/CJ Diversity, there's a resource page there. So I typically put best practice, because a lot of faculty have never dealt with this, and our students are becoming more diverse. Our programs at SAM are becoming more world-renowned. So we're getting people who've been teaching for 30 years now have people from all over. And that environment is a full-time job for me, but it's uncomfortable, and people don't want to talk about these things. But I hope that today I made you as comfortable as possible. Yeah.
Well, two things. One is that last email address you gave us, I didn't get all of it, shsu.edu.
/
Okay.
CJ
CJ.
Diversity.
Diversity, okay.
And that's the website.
Second thing is, we've talked about making your bed a lot. Have you read the book, Make Your Bed?
No.
Yeah.
It's a book?
It's a book, yeah.
There is.
Okay, what's the premise?
Well, it is, he was a Navy SEAL.
Oh my gosh.
An admiral.
Trauma.
And he, that's one of the things he believes in, is making his bed. He explains why, but then he goes through and talks about his training and how it affected him and some of the purposes of some of the training that was in there and a lot of the people that he met.
It's like steps to success, yeah.
Really?
It's a really good book.
Well, I'm gonna
It's
tell you.
just a short, it's not very
Is it a
big.
quick read? Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
this is so good.
You
know
need
what?
to-
I'm
you
gonna take
need
a
to read
picture and
that.
send it to my dad. But you know what? I want to say this. Okay, so look, the presentation's over. We're just talking, and I got a deep Southern twang. Okay, so I'm gonna use it.
So where are you from?
She got me. You know, it's always the ones on the front row. But no, this book is amazing, and I have to say, I joke about that story because I didn't know that other ways of being existed until I got married. I have always been a workaholic. I've always had 3 jobs. So even in college when I had roommates, I never saw what they did to their bed because I was out before, and, you know, but I do believe, even without reading this book, the principles about being ready for the day has propelled me through adversity and everything else, and has allowed me to run circles around other people. There's things like early bird gets the worm, and I'm not judging people who don't believe that, but I'm sure if these principles talk about success, there was something to it. I hated doing it as a teenager, but, and I talk to my kids about making their rooms presentable, and I just say, before you go anywhere, before you leave, I expect my house to be a certain way, I'm charging you rent. If I come in there and pillows and sheets are on the floor, then I repossess them. So, oh yeah, I've taken doors, pillows. Oh yeah, be cold, and I'm like, give me that blanket. Mom, no. You haven't washed it in 4 weeks. It's mine. He's in there like 4 hoodies on. But no, thank you. Can I borrow this?
Yes.
Okay. I promise I will give it back. I'll give collateral. But this is really, really cool. But thank you for embracing my story and helping me to have some better perspective.
I'll give you some good stories.
Oh, for my
Well,
children.
because in one of the first stories in there, he actually judges someone. He goes for an interview to be a SEAL, and there was somebody in the foyer that he judges, and he talks about that.
It's
So,
true. It's true, because it was a thing that just couldn't happen at my house. So walking to my friend's house, even now, they're like, oh yeah, come on in, let's get coffee. And I go in there and the bed and laundry, and my heart's like, you know, I'm like, the dog just peed at the front, like, you're not gonna Swiffer it? You know? I'm like talking to her, like putting the paper down. But yeah, so that's my trauma. But, there's just, like I said, everybody's human. Give yourself grace. Know that different stuff is uncomfortable. And again, there's tools on the website. I wish you the best of luck. This is hard work. Diversity work is hard. It's like arguing people all day. I don't argue, but what you do is hard too. And you are volunteers doing this. So I'm talking to the right group. You all want change, and you want to make an impact. So I know that you all gonna do great things. So, thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming.
Is this slideshow available on that website?
No, but I will send it out.
Okay.
I'll make sure that as long as you
Yep.
signed up, if you haven't signed in, go ahead and do that. And I'll make sure to email you the
Yes, ma'am.
slideshow.
Yes, no, but I didn't get it all.
Yes, but yeah, you all, you don't even realize you got so much theory today. You got theory of dimensions of diversity. You got theory on your bias. You learned the 4 M's, microaggressions. So it was, might seem long, but it took me a lot of So this has been wonderful with you all today. Thank you so much.
Do y'all have any more questions or anything?
Yeah, use this room.
I do have a question.
Yes.
And then I can.
I find this issue is hard to navigate with the younger generation. Like, even you're seeking to understand, you know, sometimes kids you may seem ignorant and people will jump down, or yes, I'm talking about my daughter mostly. She's 25, but sometimes she won't attack me because that's not what it is, but she'll almost make me feel guilty for maybe my ignorance. If I have a teenager someday in this program and I'm made to feel that way, is there any particular way to maybe respond to that or
Yes,
handle that?
you say, I don't know what you know because I'm not as versed as you are. And I think that we could learn from each other. Diffuse. You know, when there's a tug of war, you don't have to pull back. You let go. And I'll tell you, working at the university and having a 17-year-old, and because of technology, our kids are not ignorant. Our kids aren't waiting for the newspaper on Sunday to come out. Our kids aren't waiting until it's covered on the news. Our kids aren't, they are globally connected. And with the internet and just with Google and Reddit, whether it's factual or not, they are equipped with information that we don't value or want to take the time because we're burnout. The world is different. It's inflation, we're tired, we're commuting, we're sweating, we're paying bills, we're adulting. And so finding space to challenge your old beliefs just ain't in the priority bucket, right? But again, when it comes to someone saying, hey, I want to challenge that, we go back to the circle. Listen, empathy, and granted, sometimes they'll say things and they gotta keep living, but the fact that your daughter is engaged and the fact that she is passionate about something that she may know that totally takes her away from those things, because see, remember, even in this presentation, you raised her, if she identifies as her, you raised her a certain way, and you gave her a lot of things. And she's at a point now, a teenager, with resources, with awareness. She's empowered because most of us here have more than our parents because of the growth and the development of our family and our bloodline. So she now is in that secondary dimension where she's picking her values. And I'm gonna say, we gotta be careful about how we try to limit our children in what we want to expose them to, because when we're dead and gone, they're in a world we've never seen. They are. Who they work with, we're used to working with people in our community, maybe from Willis, maybe from Trinity, maybe College Station. Our kids are going in virtual workspaces where they have to use Google Translate to work on a project, and they can accomplish more than we can. So it's okay to give them the foundational things and say, this is our values, this is what we believe, but that'll always be there. So you can just say, well, I understand why you understand that, but the same thing you would do with a teenager in the workplace and with your daughter, say, here's why I believe what I believe. I haven't had those experiences. And the experience that I have had has given me this belief. And you learn about each other and you find that middle ground. It's hard, it's hard, it's hard. But
Do you find that there is more, less, or about the same prejudices or racism or whatever? Because I know when I was a kid, I saw racism, you know. was very obviously clear, and I heard it from my dad, right? So I thought, I don't see it as much now. And I'm wondering if, like, y'all's generation, the younger generations, do they experience it as much now as, you know, like I said, 40, 50 years ago? You know, do they experience it?
I
or
think
is it just
people learn to
different?
hide their racism.
No, I think, well, you know,
I mean,
I
it was blatant, it was
yeah,
blatant.
well, I
when was
mean,
a child.
it depends on the day and the mood. And it feels on what level somebody crossed that line of whatever. You know, somebody's having a pissy day and somebody at Jack in the Box pissed you off and didn't give you a ketchup for your food, and they were black. The next black person is like, you didn't give my ketchup, you don't pay attention, you know, everybody has a trigger. So I will say, from research, not from personal opinion, there is more widespread and systemic racism now because of some of the, we're just gonna say straight, do not record me, I'm gonna say this.
Is it turned off?
Yeah, turn that off. So, like, for example,
Hold on, she's going to turn it off.
yeah. And this is from research, and this is just, okay, so, from research, when you